Hi everyone. So it's the new moon yesterday, I think. And my algorithm on every social media is very spiritually based. So I see a lot of the same content rolling around every 2 weeks when it's new or full moon. And one thing that I've been really trying to pick my brain about over the last few months, honestly, is this whole I don't chase, I attract thing. Because I get it. And if you don't really know what that means, basically it's quite a lot of I think it's 12, I don't know, spiritual laws are about letting things come to you, and you shouldn't want anything, and that desire is the root of all unhappiness, and that you shouldn't search for things, and things that are right to you will come for you, and blah 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 blah. And I get it, I completely understand where they're coming from, because I've definitely chased things that I shouldn't have chased, and gone after things that weren't right for me and whatever. But I also do feel there is a level of need to take action in your life. You should have drive. And I feel kind of honestly this just blanket statement of I don't chase, I attract has become this synonymous statement with spirituality, but people don't actually understand it. There's no deeper understanding of the reason why we say that, or the reason why, because I understand and I do see, obviously, for manifestations you do have to detach and just release it, but having the innate thought of what you want to manifest is technically still chasing. You're still chasing a dream, and this whole thing of chasing your goals and wanting to achieve something. You're not just gonna get those things by just sitting back and letting it happen. A big thing with manifestation, oh my god, my voice, I'm so sorry, is that you have to put in work to get there. So for anyone that doesn't know how manifestation works, I'm not an expert, so if you don't agree with me or if you have a different technique, I'm sorry. But for me, usually what it involves is just thinking really clearly about what I want and about how I'm going to get there and the logical steps it's going to take me to get there. And then just doing things every day to get myself towards that goal. That's it. And eventually you will get it. And obviously I believe that universally there is a role to play. I see the universe as a living organism, and that if you feed into it, it will feed into you. And it is something to consider. It's not just one of those things where it's if you save up enough money you can buy this thing, because that's just a very third dimensional viewpoint, which is correct. But there is also more of the 5th D mindset that you can take from it, which is that opportunities will come to you if you put yourself in the aligned frequency. So it's kind of hard, because explaining things to people that solely view things from a 3D or a 5D perspective is really hard. I kind of think you need to view it as a combination of the two, because a big thing that I think a lot of us forget when we try and become more spiritual or engage in more of a spiritual mindset or lifestyle is that we are humans. At the end of the day, we are living on Earth, and we should thereby adhere to Earth's boundaries and laws, and we're here for a reason. We should be enjoying the earthly experience of failure and trying again, and putting yourself out there and getting rejected. And I am the sort of person that will lay down in the street in the pouring rain if I want someone bad enough. If I want something bad enough, I will go to the ends of the earth for it. My Mars is in Aries. Sorry, I didn't want to be that girl, but I'm just a very action-oriented person, and I believe that we should just live to the fullest, and we should say I want this. You shouldn't be embarrassed to say that you want something. And I know that they say desire is the root of all suffering, and Buddhism is obviously a very important part of spiritual practice, if that is what you choose to engage with. But I just think that for those people like me and like a lot of other people that are very action oriented and they will just go for what they want, and like I don't really mind rejection. Like I would rather know that I gave something my all and then got rejected than just not have tried and then been like, oh well, it wasn't aligned for me. Because what do you know what I mean? I feel like this whole thing of like, I genuinely do believe that you can't miss something that is meant for you. I do believe that. However, I believe that exists on a vibrational standpoint. And if your vibration is sitting back, doing nothing all day, like just waiting for things to happen to you, that vibration to me is a vibration of sloth. Sorry, I know that's like kind of harsh to say, but I just think a big part of life is taking chances and taking risks and like putting yourself out there and being afraid to fail. Like, don't all these stupid Instagram posts about like trading and stuff say that the biggest rewards come when you put yourself out of your comfort zone. And I just honestly feel like my throat is like, I think I'm getting a cold or something. I'm really sorry, but I just feel like usually the biggest rewards come from doing the things that are the most uncomfortable to you. Like, you know, that's where the biggest growth period is. And these people that just use this, I don't chase, I attract, it just kind of seems like an excuse to just not take action. And if that's not how they intend it, and they are taking these steps and they just have a different viewpoint to it than I do, that's completely fine. And like, I understand that. But I just feel like for me, like I've spent like quite a few years like trying to understand manifestation and trying to understand how things work for me. And as soon as I just like accepted that I am a person that lives off of natural drives and natural instincts, like I would just so much rather shoot my shot and get shut down than just constantly think, oh, well, what if? Because if you're not putting yourself in the position to gain and lose, it's a two-way system. Like anytime you put yourself out there to gain something, you are also putting yourself out there to lose something. But if you're not putting yourself out there at all, you're not going to lose or gain anything. Like, yes, you won't lose, but you're never going to gain. And don't get me wrong, like there are some people that just kind of seem to have things happen for them, and that is so great for them. But I just think I am one of those people that needs to just go out and like actively, I just be an active person. Like I guess some people are more actively inclined than others, and I found for me that like my best success comes from when I've really worked for something. And I feel like this is some kind of like spiritual bypassing that is going on with this new generation of, well, I'll just wait and it will come. And that isn't how it works. Like, well, for me at least, that's not how it works. And I'm not trying to undermine anyone else's experience, but for me, I just think a big part of success in this life is making movement and like going after things and trying to, you know, put the time into things. And obviously with manifestation, it's like, you know, get clear on what you want and write it down and blah, 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 blah. And like put a note under your pillow. And like, that is all so well and good. And I understand the whole like subliminal thing of it. And like, you know, words carry vibration and stuff. But I think action carries a much more significant weight of vibration than words. So if you're doing them both, you're reaching like a new level of vibrational, I don't know what the word would be, like awareness. Like that vibration is going to be so heightened, because if you're doing and then you're also speaking, like, you know, it's like the affirmation thing. Like affirmations are super important, but you can't just like think yourself away without challenging the ways in which, you know, you already don't believe it. Like if you're trying to think to yourself, if you are unhappy with your skincare, or not your skincare, with your skin, and you know, acne is like a really big insecurity of yours, but you constantly like cover up your face with loads of makeup and just like hide wherever you can, that's probably not going to help, even if you're saying affirmations. Like it will help a little bit, because I do believe that affirmations hold some weight, like I was saying earlier, but if you start, okay, I'm going to put money into my skincare, and I'm going to put money into things that are going to make it better, or like, I don't know, getting a fucking dermatologist. And I also believe as well, like, this is kind of controversial, I don't know, maybe it's not, but I think a big thing with receiving any kind of affirmation is being able to strip back to the rawness of like the root of it. So for me, this is kind of relevant because I've never really suffered with acne, so this maybe is different for someone, and I don't want to come across as like harsh or like, I don't know, unsympathetic. But to me, the hardest thing for you to do in that situation would probably be to not wear makeup, because that would expose you and make you feel so insecure. However, the longer you do that for, the more comfortable you're going to get. And then your skin's going to be able to breathe, because obviously makeup isn't good for you inherently. And I wear makeup. I love makeup. I'm not trying to be one of these pick-me girls that's like, don't wear makeup. Men don't like that. Like, that's not the point I'm making. But the point I'm making is that, do you know how I was saying earlier that it's so important to put yourself in really, really vulnerable positions, and that's where you grow the most? Like, you taking off that makeup and allowing your skin to just heal is a vulnerable position, but it will have like a growth potential, And I'm trying to break this down in a really, really like simple way to understand. I know it sounds surface level, but you can apply this same mechanism to so many different things. If you're trying to manifest money, you need to put yourself in a position where you're going to be able to get money. And don't get me wrong, there's been times I've manifested money and I've just had like checks in the post, but like, if you want success for yourself, you have to put yourself in the position to be lined up for success. You have to change your social circle. You have to change who you engage with. You have to change your external and your internal, because obviously the internal comes first. It's like the backwards law. Like, you have to think about something first before you do it. Like, no one ever did anything without thinking about it first. Like, everything is a thought before it is an action, and everything is internal before it manifests in the external. So you obviously have to think about it. And I think that's the manifestation part, is getting it really, really clear in your head. But then you do have to reflect that into your external life somehow. And it doesn't have to be this huge, like, grand gesture of like calling up CEOs and being like, please hire me, even though that is something that I would probably do. But it's having like the faith in yourself. And this is the detachment part, I think, is having the faith to say, oh, well, I still did it. And even if they're like, no, we're not interested, or I don't want that, or, you've been rejected at this time, you still did it because you still set yourself up for that success. And then you're, attuning your frequency to a successful mindset. And that's what it means when it kind of, for me anyway, like, this is what manifestation has become to me, is gradual changes over time to lead you to your end goal. It's not just, oh, I wish and pray, I am so grateful that I got £1,000 in the post. Like, you can do that, but I've just never found that to be an overly successful method. And I'm sure there are people that are really, really skilled in manifestation, and they've really fine-tuned the ability to alternate their frequency to get what they want. But I just think, for me personally, it's so much more important to be able to use your natural sense of drive that we all have as humans, obviously to varying degrees, but we all have this natural sense of drive. And I genuinely believe that this whole I don't chase, I attract is just a way to bypass our natural urges to take action, and to just, like, how did anyone get anything done before? Like, they just went for it. Like, you have to be okay with the idea that you're going to fail. And I think that is the part of, I was going to say meditation, not meditation. That is the part of manifestation that I think is glossed over, is when people say, release it. That's kind of hard, like a hard concept to grasp. Like, release what? Like, how do you release something? How do you detach from something? Like, detachment is a really complex phenomenon, honestly, on like a brain level and like the way our brains are hardwired. And this is why like I agree why I'm really heavy into practicing meditation, because a big part of meditation is learning, you know, that your mind is a tool to be used, and, you know, learning how to control your mind and not let your mind control you. And that has made detachment a lot easier for me, but this has taken years of practice. And I think this is the thing when people say like, oh, detachment, but no one actually explains how to do it. They're just like, well, just don't think about it. But then you want to think about it more. Like, I think a huge part of detachment is just being okay with the outcome, regardless of what it is. Like, if I don't know, fancy a boy and I like shoot my shot, I have to be okay with the fact that he may not be interested, or he may have a girlfriend, or he may, you know, he may just like not be attracted to me, like, and that's okay. Like, I'm not offended by that because I'm secure in myself, you know? And I think that's the thing with manifestation, is it relies so heavily on you having a really secure set of like values that kind of isn't discussed. Like, it's all discussed separately, but as like a holistic, like umbrella approach, people don't really talk about the importance of why one thing feeds into another. You know, like, there's so many aspects to do with spirituality that feed into other aspects, and without having those core foundations that are all to do with the self, you're never going to be able to progress, because you are fundamentally the root. Like, you are the core holding yourself to this earth and the spirit realm. Like, whatever it is, you are the like direct beacon. Like, your feet are attached to the earth and your brain is attached to the sky. I don't know, that's the way I see it, is like it all flows into one. It's like a battery. Like, we are like a battery connecting the spiritual and the physical, and you need to be able to operate in both and understand how both work to be able to navigate it. And you shouldn't disregard the power that earth holds, and living a 3D life isn't a bad thing. We all want to ascend. We all want to become the best versions of ourselves and tap into our higher selves and blah, 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 blah. Yes, I understand. I've been there. However, sometimes it is just important to be sad or to throw a strop, because when you've thrown that strop, you'll think, well, that was embarrassing. I shouldn't do that again. And then you've grown. But if you're suppressing it and you're bypassing it and you're, you know, toxic positivity, I'm so happy all the time, and my affirmations tell me that I'm so happy, so I have to be happy all the time. You're just like gaslighting yourself, honestly, and nothing good ever came from that. Like, you need to be able to allow yourself to fail personally. Like, I'll give you an example. I remember I went out, like, this was ages ago. I think this was like last year or the year before. I went out and I was just like having a really bad day ADHD wise, and I was just really, it was really difficult. And I basically started throwing a strop because I was having a sensory dysfunction and I didn't know how to explain that to the people I was with. And it was really embarrassing for everyone, and myself included. And afterwards, I was like, I can't believe I did that. It was so embarrassing. And now I won't do that again, because I can understand that obviously behaving that way isn't really appropriate in a social setting. But also, I had to allow myself that, to understand that I didn't want to do that in the future. Whereas if I just held it in, I would have still felt like shit. Yes, I would have made everyone else around me more comfortable, but there wouldn't have been any growth come from that, apart from the fact that I was just trying to make everyone else feel better, but I didn't feel better, you know? And this is the thing, like, you need to be able to fail so badly to win in the future, because it's just like you're just learning. And I think manifestation is inherently a process. Like, it's like a gradual process that, okay, I've been thinking about this for a while, and I need to like, this is I can explain manifestation in the way that I would explain a career. So I was talking to a girl I work with, and she used to work in travel, and she was saying, like, you know, I think a big part of life and being on the career ladder is that you fine tune what you want over time. And I was saying that I agree because obviously as a uni student, I'm graduated now, and I don't want to go into this expectation that I am gonna, come out of uni and get a 50k entry level job. That's not how it works. And, to just find my forever happy, perfect job out of nowhere. Like, I think the point is that you have to do a job that you maybe don't like for a year, but you'll pick up something in that job that you like, and then you'll be able to focus on getting a job that suits those needs, and then those needs, and then you're just fine-tuning what you do and don't want, and what your expectations are, and what others' expectations are of you. And it's just like a learning curve. And I think the same thing applies to manifestation, because at the end of the day, like, getting your dream job is inevitably manifestation, so it's all kind of ties into one. And it's just a really long process. And I think because we're so focused on instant gratification as a species, maybe not a species, maybe a generation, we kind of have lost that ability to have foresight and to think, well, I may not be where I want to be right now, but I have this goal and I have this plan and I will get there eventually, just have the faith. And that's kind of all I wanted to say. My brain's turned off, so thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it, and I will be back soon, probably.